Line it up, lively. Who's here? Who's ready and waiting? Bang up for this one. Well excited. Welcome Thursday night. We are live. CrozNest UK. Thank you for joining, coming in. Share some love tonight, people. We've got an amazing guest for this evening. We've got Byrne lived up. He is massive force in the industry for well-being. He's got a new empowerment, a movement. It's all about well-being. It's all about positivity, being who you can be, being the best version that you can be. Now, look, CrozNest UK Lives are all about sharing that love. We're all about getting through these lockdowns. We started it in lockdown 1. We're still here in lockdown 3, coming at you, treating you to some special love, keeping you connected. We are going to accept a wave at a few people. I'm loving this. How you doing, man?
I love it. Like I just listened to your little story that you put on, and you were just like full of beans, and that just made me smile. So thanks for that. That's really good.
You got to bring the energy, mate. You got to bring the game.
Got to bring the energy. I love it. You brought my energy up. Definitely.
Thank you. Well, then I've done my job today. If I've helped one person, that's all we need to do. It's that's what we're all about, though, man. That's what these lives started for. For me, was last year, and it was keep the love going, keep everyone inspired and motivated.
Yeah.
And when I reached out to you, we were so blessed. I said to you, we've had amazing guests, and here we are, lockdown 3, nearly a year on, and we're still topping the guest list, mate. Each time it gets better and better, and here you are. You've graced us. We're really blessed, man. You've got such a cool movement coming on, and I'm so pleased that you could give some time for us.
It's my absolute pleasure. Like, thank you for having me on and helping share the voice of I can, I am, and I will, and the empowerment movement that it is. And it's by connecting with people and other people helping share the word that like what it is,
Yeah.
and that is really how it started. It was kind of a way for me to kind of reconnect with people. It was about me kind of coming out of a dark time and reconnecting, being creative, lifting myself up within our beautiful industry.
Yeah. I don't know. I get wary now about repeating myself, to be honest, because it's. I've said throughout all of these lives, anybody watching, go check out all of the other. The library is huge now. We love it. We're so proud of it. But the message that runs through all of it is the power of positivity. It is about facing that adversity and just getting creative with it, right? And then it's all about sharing that love. Like once you go through that and you face it, it's all about sharing it. Sharing your knowledge.
Yeah, I think it is definitely.
Your experience.
I think what I learned is to allow myself to have a different perspective, and I learned to allow myself to have a different choice, and to have a choice that was mine, and not a choice that I'd been programmed or conditioned into and was just accepting. I guess I became conscious and aware of who I was at a certain point, and how that was affecting me, and how, I was my behavior and my behavior was me. And, you can have one idea of what's going on inside your head, but actually what's going on outside is very different, So
Yeah.
I was forced to stop and take stock. And by doing that, it's really massively just opened up my world, and being able to have a different point of view is everything for me. And kind of having a clarity, knowing my mind, kind of being confident in myself, and then connecting with great people like yourself, and using our industry. We're in a massive vantage point in our industry as hairdressers and as creatives, because we get to sort of do work that we love and enjoy, that brings us joy, but we also get to share that with other people as well, and we have the power to help people and make people feel and look better.
I'm just trying to make myself look better. There you go. Change that.
Are you putting a filter on?
Oh no, I'm just changing my ring light. You know, you've got all these buttons at work now. I'm jealous. Your light, everyone else's lighting is always better than mine. I still haven't mastered this one out a year in, and I'm like, you know, I'm here to make everyone else feel good though. But it's a tough gig. But again, you know, the amazing point of this career is that like the things that we get to do day in, day out, and you know, and at the crux of that is making other people feel good.
Definitely. And I've been really lucky that I've been able to, well, actually, one, you know, I've learned my craft.
Yeah.
I started as a salon hairdresser. I started as a little village salon hairdresser. You know, which was a great learning experience for me, and have literally kind of gone through every level of being a salon hairdresser that you can be. Then kind of went into more fashion and session hairdressing. But, you know, I love the community, and I love the experience of a hairdresser, and the environment of a salon, and the magic that we create, and the energy that brings, you know. So it can be done in many ways, can't it?
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty. It's the diversity within our industry, and I do find it's always, and you know, and it's inclusive, and it's, you know, I feel like it's an industry that's always willing to put its arms around you as well. I mean, you always have to be open for that gesture, you know, because it can be a lonely place at times as well, especially in session. But it's such a warming industry, you know. Even when it gets competitive within like the competition circuit, you know, there's still that camaraderie there when you turn up to the judging panels and everything. Mm-hmm. Everyone's always so happy to see each other, and always so complimentary about everybody's work. You know, there's always a good vibe running through the industry, I feel.
There is. It's such an incredible community, really. You know, I think, taking it right back to the beginning, like I came into the industry because, you know, I'm from a working class background, and it was a chance for me to have a job and earn money and have a career, but be able to be creative at the same time. It was a way for me to kind of explore who I was, I guess, really, as well, because I was very uncertain about my identity for a long time. You know, I was very uncertain about who I was, my sexuality, like where I wanted to be, how I could be me, what I should be. But like the hairdressing industry as an industry was a place where I felt absolutely embraced at every stage of my growth. You know, it wasn't an easy journey, but it was my job really was the one thing that kind of cuddled me, you know, and still does, and like gives me everything that I want to have out of life. It really does. But, you know, it's hard work, and I've really put the work in to be where I am and doing what I'm doing, because I'm not kind of somebody that I need to know what I'm doing. I can't just blag. It. I need to know that I can deliver what is required from me, because, you know, you can just feel it. I kind of work very emotionally. Like my connection with hairdressing was from my aunt. My family unit broke down when I was very young, so I would stay with my aunt from a very young age, and I would do her hair, and that was how we would connect. And, you know, from about 5 or 6, I mean, I've spoke about it quite a lot before, but I really kind of got the emotional connection out of hairdressing from that very young age. So like, you know, I can feel when somebody is not feeling what you're doing. And you know, I can feel, you can really feel it, no, as a hairdresser. You can tell when,
no, you can,
you know, you've done a good job or you've not done a good job, and you're like, oh shit.
I've spent, I don't know how many, but like years in therapy now trying to deal with that superpower. It's like, but I can feel what everyone's feeling, you know, and it's hard to deal with that, because you take that on, and it's hard to not take it on, but it's hard, and it's really hard to not take it in as well and take it home, you know. And it's at salon level you kind of do that, and it's getting up, you know, as I say, it's that journey of exploration about yourself and actually getting into an age now. I'm like, you know, I'm going to be 40 at the end of this year, and you'd kind of think like you'd have it all worked out by now, right? But actually, I feel like I'm only just starting to get one or two answers.
Well, I feel like I kind of I spent a long time kind of blocking emotions and not allowing myself to really be present in the moment as such. And then, you know, as when I kind of became more present and sort of I stopped drinking, I stopped drugs, I stopped all of the things that were kind of blocking me from being me, really. And then you
Yeah,
kind of, you have this, you know, I do therapy, I talk about, I you know, you need to express yourself, you need to talk about these things. When you kind of first do that, you're like super sensitive, and you're like, oh my god, you can really feel everything that's going on. But you know, I being sensitive is something that I'm super proud of now. You know, I love the fact that I can feel, and I do feel, and that I don't shy away from that anymore. That's one of my benefits, and as hairdressers, that is one of our benefits really as well. What I do think we need to do is just be careful on how we treat ourselves as hairdressers,
yeah.
because we do take on a lot of shit from clients. You
Well,
know,
I
if
think
you
that's it,
consider,
isn't it?
yeah,
It's learning not to take it in. Like, you always take, you know, because as I say, it's a superpower of like every hairdresser, isn't it? It's being able to feel that emotion, feel that vibe. You're touching your hair, and you're it's all very tactile, but as well, you're feeling their emotional
yeah,
benefits or disappointments is the worst one. You know, you like, they're really not loving this, and but you know, like no one sets out to give a bad hairdo, do they? You know, and it's like sometimes you don't win them all every time 100%. So actually, when you kind of, especially when you're running a busy column, I mean, feel for hairdressers that, you know, running those 10, 12 clients a day stacked in, and not everybody's going to bring that in. It's not even about the haircut. Sometimes people just come in with bad energy, right? And then you're kind of like taking that, and it's the job of the hairdresser to try and turn that around, you know? So you're kind of taking that in, and it's, you go through like these sort of like Reiki artists that sort of bring that energy, the bad energy
yeah,
out, and leave you with the good energy. But where do you put all of that bad energy you've just taken from somebody? And as like hairdressers, we teach people to cut hair, but we don't really teach anybody to deal with the emotional side of everything that we're doing in the industry.
yeah.
And we do
Like
it a lot.
I think you know, this is where I want to come in, and this is where I see I am, and I will really finding its like grounding and its footing within the industry, because you know, having experienced running those columns for many years in very, very busy salons, and having my personal baggage along with clientele's personal baggage and just life, you know,
Yeah.
there is nothing to kind of gear us up to be able to deal with that, accept that, process that, you know, offer a different level of experience to help client deal with that as well. You know, we're in a really unique access point
Mm.
for people to sort of allow us to almost kind of offer positivity and offer, you know, that uplift and that feel, and that, you know, we can make them look great. Why not make them feel great at the same time as well? You know, down to language, positivity, you know,
Yeah.
reading somebody. I think that's a big part of the industry that I certainly am excited about and want to develop more. 100%.
It's such a beautiful movement and an idea. It's so important. I mean, it's like mental health's become fashionable, thankfully, now, you know, so it's kind of okay for everybody to kind of talk about it and things and
Yeah,
be open. And it's
yeah,
so important that that openness is allowed a space now, and everybody kind of accepts it. And you're spot on with, I mean, people have said it for a while, haven't they? Sort of like hairdressers are like pseudo psychologists, you know, but it's true, because we like, you hear everything, and you speak to everybody, and you hear, like, you know, two sides of every relationship, because you've got the husband and the wife, or, you know, that the husband and the affair, or, you know, it's kind of all things happen in salons, and it's a great gossip. But really, it can be a strain, and actually to be able to use that power to enhance that, experience and really put some responsibility behind it. I think it's such a beautiful movement that you've created. How long has it been around now? Like,
It's been around this is the start of the third year. So it
Great.
started the first year. It started literally from as a personal experience. It started with me growing myself out of darkness, depression, and wanting to kind of create work that I felt proud of, kind of to meet new people, to connect with new people, to kind of be creative. And then, I realized that I had improved myself and I could see things in a very different way. And I was more of a positive person. And actually, there is a problem with people not being able to be positive and getting stuck in a very certain headspace and, not being present in the moment. So I really wanted to then build it and kind of share the message and create a message to move forward. And it's just kind of grown very, very organically. And every stage, hasn't been contrived. Like I through the movement, I approached a lady called Helen Addis, the Titty Gritty, who's breast cancer survivor and campaigner. And I featured her, and then she was a producer on Lorraine's show ITV. So then they featured I Can, I Am, and I Will as part of January Wellness Week 2020. Brilliant. With Emma and Vicky, my clients. And because I'm very confident in what I'm doing, and I'm very confident in the message, and we produce beautiful imagery. I don't have a problem with asking people to come along and get involved.
No.
And I think that confidence comes from me having a level of wellness and being well and being able to see a clear direction, and that all comes from my self-improvement. Before, I probably just would have thought about doing it, but then kind of would have worried about how I was going to do it. Would they do it with me? And
what's everyone else going to think about it?
Yeah, what's everybody else going to think about it? Whereas now I just do it. And I do it because I know I can do it, and the results there, and it's proven. And then COVID happened. And then kind of everybody globally had experienced a level of anxiety, mental health, depression, pivotal moment, life change, where things really do change. Then now it's a serious thing for me. Now it's like, okay, I can really offer something here that can 100% help improve people's way of thinking and well-being, and physically and mentally. So that's where I'm at with it now. I've actually just recently trained as a coach, so to develop my kind of consultation skills. Like I did a life coaching course, so I kind of can now navigate the conversation and know sort of how to access different things and allow space just for people to talk like they do in a consultation, like with your client. Just allow them the space to flow through and let go.
You don't have to do it over the noise of a hairdryer now, though.
I wish. I'm longing to do it over the noise of a hairdryer. I'm telling you.
How are you? It's it's kind of like, how is it at the top of that tree though? Like that movement, it's like, because suddenly, do you not feel like is there a layer of responsibility that comes with that, especially now that you've kind of noticed what COVID's brought to the attention of everybody? You've got this great tool in front of you. Suddenly, or like, how do you cope with that pressure? Is kind of what I'm getting at. Or maybe there isn't any pressure. It's just sort of share the love and let's just see what happens.
There is a pressure, The pressure isn't on the work, on the visual work, and on producing the imagery and stuff like that, because that's my release, and that's my way of having fun and creating. And I love to do that bit. I love to art direct. I love to kind of get stuck in and do that. The pressure is on me choosing the right way to be able to express what this is. If you get what I mean, it's like, I know it's something, and I know that I can help people with this, and I know that people can get involved in this, and people do want to get involved in this, like your prime example for having interest in this. There's
100%.
appetite there, and it's got a great message. I really want to just make sure that I kind of do the right thing with it.
Yeah.
And I think what I've learned from over the 2 years is that I just need to sit back and think about and just not. I was very, very impulsive in my previous life. I was very impulsive. I was very reactionary, like straight in there. That could have had something to do with the alcohol and drugs. I'm not sure, but they're not involved in my life anymore. So I can really have a good clarity of mind, and I can really it's important to take a little bit of a step back sometimes and just work out what it is that it's doing. And I think half of it's being confident in myself as well, because this is me putting myself out there to show what I'm doing as well. It's my baby.
But and also you kind of need to, for things to happen organically, you need to give it a little bit of space, its own space as well, so that sort of step back's also important from that side of it, so that you kind of let it breathe, and you probably know more than anybody now that it's like, you can't always be the puppet master.
No.
Everything. When you want to direct the show completely, you're very rarely
control.
You're very rarely in control.
And there are certain ways of doing things as well, because I could go down one route, which would be to dilute the messaging and the purity of what this is, of well-being, of positive message, of people's genuine stories, and I could just get as many people involved as possible and go for as many names as I could possibly go for, and them not really have the message that fits and flows within what I'm doing, and really commercialize it and do that with it, or is it the beautiful thing just to kind of let it grow and like keep it, that's just something that will happen. But it's it's super fun as well. Like I have to enjoy what I'm doing with it too. Like I have to really kind of appreciate what it is, and the kind of the momentum that it's gained within and the respect that it's gained within the industry so far is just phenomenal. And like that really sits deeply with me, because I'm getting subjects, I'm getting collaborators to come on a journey with me. I do their hair, but often they've got really kind of deep, sensitive stories that they want to tell, that of issues that they've been through. And that was part of why I started it, because I'm very aware that we can get stuck in our dark places, and actually being able to express ourselves and have conversation and talk is the first, it is how we recover. So I wanted to really highlight that communication and conversation. And like, it's a real sensitive moment between on set when we're there, like doing it. So there's I have respect for that as well, and that's sensitive to me.
That's so beautiful, man. I mean, it's such a cool thing to be. It's so important to bring people in to share, and give them that space to open up. And I've been through dark times myself. I've shared, on many times through these series, is that hairdressing for me has saved my life. More than once. It's kind of, it's got me out of bed when nothing would have done.
Yeah.
It's and it's a real beautiful thing to bring to the masses, and I think it's such an amazing thing to sort of build this platform that you've got and sort of open up that space. Is it something you've always kind of wanted to do, or did you think you had to go through all that darkness to sort of have this vision, the light at the end of the tunnel sort of thing? Is it?
I've always been super passionate about being a hairdresser, and I've always been super passionate about being in the industry. And I've always known that I have a deep connection with people, and I hairdress on a emotional level, not just like the way it looks. Like with my clientele and my client base, they're usually with me for quite a long time, and we work together very closely, and we connect really deeply. So I've always kind of wanted to do something. I think I was holding myself back from doing something before because I was lost in a way, and I hadn't discovered really who I was and how I could be me. And then I was forced to do that. Luckily, it got quite serious, and like I was grounded. And I hit a rock bottom, and to kind of come back from that rock bottom, I had to really evaluate I had to look at who I was and what I was doing and what I was about, and some of those things, like honestly, I didn't like about myself. I was ashamed. There was lots of shame. There was lots of regret, and living with fear, shame, and regret is a killer, and it's a really dark, negative place to be. And we don't need to be there, and we don't need to hold on to these things that we hold on to so much, because that's just one way of thinking, and there is options to think in different ways. And that's when I started to look into psychology. I started having therapy. I started kind of treating myself better and fueling myself better and looking after myself. I kind of realized that there were other ways possible of being healthier, and I could thrive in a different way. And being able to connect my work with that as well, I just think is a really valuable thing. And as I say, we're an access key here to people that come into the salon to get their hair done, to have an offload, to have a connection, and that's a very important thing.
It so is, man. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a shame as well. I mean, I think that's what really. I mean, people aren't really talking about this loss, that loss now to society. Having COVID being shut, the government restrictions that are on businesses right now is.
Yeah.
It's kind of beyond belief, the detriment that will play a part in society, because so many people are coming and going into a salon for that feel good uplift, for that bit of maintenance. And it's not just about the physicality of cutting your hair. There's so much more to that experience. I mean, we can talk about it from our side as hairdressers and what we know that we give and what we get from it. But it's an important part to society and culture of people needing to go in and have that space. Not everybody understands or goes to therapy, but everybody will go and get their hair cut and offload to their hairdresser.
100%, and for some people it's the only intimate touch they'll have. There are lots of people that are by themselves, and to kind of connect and to have somebody listen to them and to have somebody touch them and care for them and talk to them, make them feel good is really valuable. And it's the high street as well, isn't it? It's a community place where people can come together and get out of their environments. We've all been locked away for so long now. I think the salon is a real kind of key part of society, as well as, you know, expression. Like, you want to express yourself. Hair is used as an expression, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And as I say, not just from our point of view, from the client, from the person, it's, you know, that's, I was always taught and schooled, you know, the hair is the final accessory to any outfit. I mean, I'm quoting the top guys at Tony and Guy there that kind of taught us that, drummed it in really early on. You know, back in the days when Anthony was still there and all that kind of stuff. But it's so true. It kind of, you know, it'll make or break. This is, they're trying to tell us the importance of, you know, getting it right for everybody, is because it will make and break anybody's day. You know, if you wake up and you've got terrible hair, you're going to have, you know, 9 out of 10, you'll have a shit day. Do you know what I mean? If you can't do something about it. And if you mess somebody's hair up, you know, they've got 6 to 8 weeks before it gets resolved, probably, at best. If it's too short, you know, that kind of stuff. But to suddenly, like, take that away, that place in society, take that away from the community, that hub, you know, it can, and I think it will have, you know, major issues, detrimental problems to people, and not just people having grey roots or, you know, shaggy haircuts now. It's about people's feel-good factor. And that's hence why, you know, important to have moments like this and have platforms like yours to sort of keep spread that word, generate different areas that people can express themselves and talk openly and communicate. Staying connected as well, isn't it? It's
staying connected. And if you think about, you know, even like the youngsters coming into the industry that kind of that they've had a year, we've missed a whole year's worth of people that would have come in that, you know, maybe are struggling with their identity, are struggling with their sexuality, are just need a place to escape and try and find themselves and create and be who they want to be and discover, you know, or just have a sense of community. And that's been gone for a year as well. So, you know, it's a really difficult point that we're at, isn't it? And so many salons are kind of suffering and really, you know, not knowing if they're going to be able to come back after this because of financial reasons, you know. So it's a really difficult time that we need to just really support the hairdresser and get behind it and get in there.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you touched on a beautiful thing now. I mean, I've not really thought about that. I was speaking to a few people about the need to keep, you know, the new generation inspired and keep them coming in. But actually, you know, there's actually a whole year of opportunity that's been taken away. And actually, you kind of made me think, like, you've talked about, you know, helps you find it yourself. But I, you know, got into hairdressing and it helped me find my feet, you know, in life. And it was the first real moment where I kind of felt like, oh, I'm good at something, you know. It's like I've got a bit of bravado about me, and suddenly I could do something. And I didn't become the complete package by becoming a hairdresser. And, you know, I've had many years of trauma ever since, but trying to become an adult. But you know, that was the real first moment I found some confidence about being a person, being me. You know,
because it really builds you, doesn't it, in every way? Like it tests everything that you have, like your communication skills, your eye, your what, you know, what you like, your personality. You're put out of comfort zones. You have to deal with people. Like, you have to wash people's hair.
You know, I always find funny is that you know, everybody always thinks hair is beautiful, right? They want to touch it, they want to feel it until it's on the floor. Until it's detached, and then people are like, oh, look at the hair on the floor. You're like, it's just hair, man. It's like, as hairdressers, you kind of get used to that stuff. And, you know, I grew up through the industry, starting in a village down on my nan's village. You know, I was a Saturday boy in my nan's village, and old ladies would come in for their once a week updo, and I was looking forward for the £2 for washing their hair.
So we're the same age, so it must have been around the same time that we were doing that, both in our village salons, which is great.
My nan used to bring me tuna sandwiches. It's hilarious. It's like she'd come down. I didn't get to say it because I got to interview Patrick Cameron on this as well. And he was like, I was in my nan's village salon, and he was just like the first updo book that I read, and I got pretty good at copying his updo. So basically, my grandparents were in the RAF, and then in the summer, my nan used to send all the old ladies there to get their hair put up by me for the ball in the summer. And they all loved it. I was just basically copying Patrick Cameron's hair ups, and but they all loved it, and it was such a great moment of my life, really. Childhood, my coming of age, and suddenly, I've got 20 years on me now since, and realised I didn't come of any age actually, because it's literally taken me this long to grow up and realise what life's about, and it's about sharing, and it's about caring, and it's about gaining your knowledge and experience, good and bad, and then sharing, opening up to people about kind of what you've gone through. I've been through a few things, and the things I learned there is, you can't keep the peace and the serenity without giving a bit back to people, without
and there are some great movements. There are some other people doing some great things as well, like Haircuts for Homeless, the Lions Barber Collective, you guys, the Hair Show Live. There are some really great progressive things that are kind of, some people are really doing in the industry, that I think it's for me, it's a really exciting time. I think that there is a big backlash really about being a session hairdresser, and salon hairdressers are fighting back against that. There's a place for everything and everyone. I think the most important thing is that you learn your craft and you learn your skill. You can be whatever kind of hairdresser you want to be. It's not for anybody to say that you shouldn't do this or you should do that. I think that, there's space for everything. And the main thing is to look after yourself, so then you can go and do whatever you want to do, and you feel confident with doing whatever you want to do. Look, I can, I am, and I will came from me growing my confidence, and now I'm at a place where it's recognized and I'm proud of it, and there's things that I'm going to do with that. I'm actually starting a radio station with it next.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that just came from with Islington Radio. They offered me a show with I Can, I Am, and I Will, and I'm like, do you know what? I use music in the salon. I use music when I'm on a shoot. I know kind of what music to put on to kind of build somebody, to build the mood. We do that as hairdressers as well. We feel the environment. So, why not? Let's be limitless. Why put limits on ourselves and sort of not allow ourselves to do stuff?
No, I mean, it's don't hold back. That's my message now. It's if it's an idea, it can be realised. If you can think it, you can do it, kind of thing. It's and have a go at anything and everything. I mean, it's like you came from a working class background, council estate boy. My old man was a prison officer.
Yeah,
I went and trained as a makeup artist just to upset him. When I was 16, I was like, "Are you going to go to art college?" I went, "No, I'm going to be a makeup artist," and he was horrified. And I took great joy in that at 16, being really rebellious. But it was like, well, why not? Why can't I go and do that? It's painting. I'm going to go to, and I mean, admittedly, I thought I was going to be. I'd end up more in special effects and film, but I loved the fashion. I loved working with beautiful faces and painting, and then suddenly it was sort of the hair came into it, and actually I was just like, wow, this is a whole new world. And I wouldn't have ever done, had the life that I've had. I've had the life of my dreams, really. I've traveled the world and I've done amazing creative things. The joys that this industry brings to us, and it's actually so thankful that actually that just kind of stumbled upon me because I tried something different.
Yes.
I went outside the norm. I left my council estate, and I got on a bus every morning, and everyone's like, "Hey, you're that boy doing makeup?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it's great fun. I'm in a classroom full of girls, so what's there to be questioning, really? And and here we are, 20, 30 years later, and life's brought me no end of joys. This industry is a beautiful thing. I've said it many times. Is the enjoyment that we can get out of our job, meeting and greeting people, traveling the world, session, fashion, the pressure, the joy of expressing yourself, and to bring that into a well-being platform is, I think that's just taking it to the next level.
Yeah, and it's important that we kind of care for ourselves as well, because along with all the enjoyment and joy that it brings, it also brings the other side of it as
Yeah,
well in all of those elements. So, if you don't know how to manage yourself properly, and if you can't say no, and if you can't hold back, or which I put my hands up, like that I was one of those people that couldn't, because of underlying issues. But until
yeah,
I understood those underlying issues, like, I was raucous for a long time. But that being a hairdresser, you kind of, that's accepted, you
yeah,
know, that is accepted. And, the Sunday night would be party night as a hairdresser, because you worked all weekend, and then that would roll into Monday and Tuesday, and,
yeah,
it
yeah,
would just go on and on. But I think there's a certain amount of sort of, because we do take on so much as salon hairdressers from clients,
yeah.
there's a certain amount of release there that you actually do need to kind of learn how to process it and release it and let it go, because otherwise you do need to kind of go a bit wild. So
Well, the thing
I,
is, even like it's not in a like in the grand scheme, but you find fame. It's like the footballer syndrome. I think you can find fame very early on in hairdressing. In your local community, suddenly everybody
mm,
knows who you are. Everybody likes you. Everybody wants a piece of you. Suddenly you're busy. Suddenly you're earning money, and your world kind of gets away from you. And actually, you step back and you're like, hang on, I'm only 20 and I don't really know anything about life, and I've just got all these things going on. And like, well, what do you do with that? And then you end up just like fizz popping all over the place, don't you? I mean, I remember I went through years of surviving on Lucozade and sausage rolls and cigarettes because I hadn't
yeah.
slept all night. I look back now, I feel sorry for some of my Saturday morning clients. I mean, I don't know how I ever did the haircut.
Shaky hand haircuts.
That they made, but they were regular, so they couldn't have been that bad. But they were like, but I feel bad, and I hold guilt and shame for that, because I'm like, I could have given them so much more
Yeah,
if I'd looked after myself.
yeah,
If I'd had that self awareness or that education, given to me. And that's
yeah,
something, because I was kind of, I was out there on my own. I mean, this isn't an excuse or anything, but I literally, I left home, I left town, I left, went on this big adventure of hairdressing and fashion and stuff, and then
yeah,
suddenly it was like there was no one, and actually, but I was too young. And it's that footballer syndrome. So no one left to look after you. There's no one there to parent you anymore.
yeah,
I know
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
all become adults, but like you say, it's very accepted within the industry, and no one
and
really kind
and
of
almost expected, because you have to,
yeah,
you should be fun, you should be open, you should be a character, you want to attract people, you want to give something, and when you're young, fueling yourself in different ways allows you to be able to do that.
mm.
So
I think that's it,
yeah,
and it's the release thing as well, isn't it? There's a lot of pressure
yeah,
hairdressers face. It's especially when in certain salon environments, I wasn't gifted, hour and a half appointments until I was at, very late in my career. You start out and it's like 30-minute, 40-minute haircuts. You got bang about, you got, suddenly you're popular, you got like 12 of them a day. And then it's like, well, I'll just skip lunch and
hmm
do one more. Oh, I can hit my bonus this week if I do another haircut.
well,
And then
I mean,
suddenly,
this is another thing, isn't it? Like there's a certain level of also kind of how kind of businesses expect you to be, and how salons
yeah,
expect you to be, and the amount of turnover that you should do to get your bonus and to do this, and actually, are you offering the right level of service if you're doing that amount of clients, and
yeah.
they're squeezing them in at that amount of time? We the pace needs to be looked at a little bit as well, I think, don't you? Like, just to kind
Yeah.
of enjoy what we're doing, and to kind of give a full service of kind of relax, and not kind of stressed energy going from one to the next. That's
Well, I
what
think
really
it's both.
interests me.
That's the real value as well. I think it's not because I think because also when you're like squeezing people in, or you've got these short time appointments, like well, not 30 minutes or half an hour. It's there's no time. There's only time there to cut hair. That's it. Do you know what I mean? There's no
Yeah,
time to expand or open the conversation up. you can go through the motions of, oh, how you doing? Where are you going on holiday? I hate that one. But,
Standard.
but I think the real moments that kind of I got into my career was actually, when you could sit back a little bit, charge a little bit more, take your time with them, really open up, get to know them, get
Yes.
emotional,
Yes.
and then that's where your work really comes alive as well. And the character and the personality really comes out of the haircut and the person between you and them. And it's a beautiful collaboration, I think.
Well, because that's about connecting, isn't it? And it's about kind of allowing that connection to happen, to really understand kind of what the client wants and like, does your relationship work together, and what you can offer them. And I think, if I can develop this thing with I can, I am, and I will, that it is like a growth tool that also allows the hairdresser to explore who they are too, so they have an understanding of what they are and what they're doing, and then it's a kind of common language used between the two. I think it is where we need to go to kind of really kind of shake up the industry a bit, because I do feel that we need to kind of now kind of step up and offer that something extra.
I think that's great. How do you practice it day to day? Like, what's your kind of well-being routine?
My well-being routine these days is a journal every day.
Okay.
So within that, it's like I do gratitudes. I do. I kind of. It's like food. I like food, gratitudes, intentions, and just list them all out in a journal. I kind of try and exercise as much as possible. I try and eat well, and just kind of not give myself a hard time. It's like, it's particularly through COVID, I've had like real waves of up and real waves of down. So,
Yeah.
it's about recognizing when that's happening. And like, if I'm going through a down, step back and, early night, go to bed, bit of comedy on the television, and just like have an easy time.
Yeah.
It's a hard time that we've gone through. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that and not just kind of stiff upper lip, get on and get through. Like, there needs to be some level of acknowledgement to kind of deal with it, to get over it, rather than just kind of avoiding it.
Staying connected.
Yeah.
With that,
staying connected
with yourself.
And I've really kind of connected really massively more with the industry as well during COVID, like with all of like the online things like we're doing now, and just people kind of want to connect more and want to reach out more, which is nice.
I think, sharing the positivity, I think COVID, as awful nightmare that it is, actually there have been some beautiful things come out of it. And I do think, these moments of connection wouldn't have happened without COVID. I mean, I've just had a year of interviewing. We did one nearly every week last year. And that wouldn't have happened for me if, and everybody else that kind of watched it, if it wasn't for COVID. And, there's been some good opportunities. And like you said, and I really think it'll bring an awareness to everybody's life now about things like well-being, health, staying on top of these things. I mean, not necessarily. I think there's some great messaging that's coming out, and I think it's people like yourself, rather than not necessarily coming from governments about it, look after yourself. I mean, that's one of my big issues with culture at the moment is, the people at the top don't really push this message of well-being, look after yourself. This is what's out there. This is the best diet for you.
Because they don't really have to, do they? They're not really in a position where kind of they're quite sort of, they're quite looked after. It's people lower down that kind of need to know actually that there are ways to really take care of yourself, and well-being is really important, and you can change your mindset and you can be more positive about things, but it kind of takes some practice, and there are certain things that you can do and put in place that actually, if you do them daily, will help you to kind of improve how you're feeling about yourself. It's the whole kind of positive psychology vibe of things that actually really do work. And, you know, I'm living proof of that, because I've done it to myself, and, you know, that is what the movement's about. That's what I Can, I Am, and I Will is about. And, you know, hairdressing is about expressing yourself, have fun, like be creative, like enjoy you. But that comes from being able to kind of accept you and be happy with who you are. And that is not an easy thing to do, is it? You know, I think we all seem to think that we're the only ones that go through hard times and don't know ourselves and don't experience ourselves. But actually, I think everybody is in a very similar situation. We just don't share it enough, and you need to kind of make out that you know what's going on.
Well, that's also as well. I think that's, again, like through this COVID experience, suddenly everybody is experiencing the same trauma at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like suddenly they become more aware of other people, because they're like, oh, well, you know, we're all going through this. So actually, you probably do feel as shit as I do. So maybe we can ask each other and talk about it. And whereas before, everyone just goes, oh, they probably don't feel like I do. They're probably not as shit as I do. Oh, I must be the only one that feels this shit. And it's like, well, actually, whereas now it was like, no, I bet we all feel really shit, don't we? Yeah. This is a really tough time. Let's talk about it.
One of the things I think with COVID, like I've been able to go back and do a little bit of work here and there, because TV and media, you're still allowed to do some hair. Obviously fully kind of guidelined and PPE'd up, but kind of going back into the work situation is really weird.
Yeah.
Because we've all been away from each other for so long that actually you come back and you try and sort of pick up from where you left off, and you try and be what you were before you left the situation. And because everybody's been through this COVID experience, but it's been very different for every single person. You know, everybody's dealt with it in a different way. Everybody's had things to do differently within it. So you come back and it's all a bit like the same but different, and you're like trying to fit back together. And it's just a real kind of adjustment of being able to kind of get back together.
That's a really interesting point of view. I kind of didn't really thought. And so, yeah, because everybody kind of grows at different rates and in different ways through their own experiences. And where we've all been so separated, you know, everything's been, you know, blown up, hasn't it? So suddenly, whereas before we were probably all experiencing, you know, our own little micro things in the same places. But now we're kind of
we're all rolling. You know, there was a roll going. But then now there was a kind of complete like fraction. And you know, people, you know, have experienced really tough loss and heartbreaking times.
Yeah, I know it's been difficult. I mean, how have you found the general experience? Have you managed to sort of stay on top with the well-being with yourself? Has it?
I have actually. I really have. I feel lucky that, you know, I had started I Can, I Am, and I Will before this happened, like a year before it happened. So I was kind of in that way of thinking, and I was on that path. It's really helped me kind of stay focused. There's no other option for me really, because, you know, I've lived on the darker side of life, and that's not a place where I can go back to. Like I don't want to entertain that. So I know what I have to do to kind of keep myself well, and it's by doing my project and doing things and looking after myself that allows me to do that.
And how have you
very
found?
Achievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's so achievable. The thing is, right? It's like the hardest. Well, I don't know what the saying is, but it's like the hardest thing, the hardest lesson in life to learn. But like, it's the simplest. All you got to do is the simplest things.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hardest lesson in life to learn is to be well. All you got to do is the simplest things. Yeah. It's like, you know, I mean, the game changer for me, gratitude list every day. I mean, I've let them drop actually the last few months, and to my detriment, to be honest, my mental health sort of going back. You know, it gets a bit bit sketchy again. And it's like, well, actually, I probably, you know, look back and then you kind of think, well, actually, what I need to do is just get back on that. And I write a list, I share it in the morning, and it's a game changer for me. It's sort of can switch the darkest mindset to like the hardest thing, the hardest mood, first thing in the morning. Write a 10-point gratitude list, and I even try and channel it into the things that I'm actually feeling quite dark about, and look for the like flip a positive, and then literally within like, you know, the space of a minute, you know, I'm up on a beat and I'm up again. It's great. It's a real game changer for me, and it's one of the simplest tricks, but it took me like the best part of, I think, 38 years to learn the benefit.
To write a list, mental, isn't it? Well, what that actually does, like gratitude lists, like gratitude help to access your subconscious mind. And if you think throughout the day, we make so many decisions, like everything is a decision that we do, but the biggest percentage of those decisions are made by our subconscious mind. We just do it automatically without thinking. And, you know, that subconscious mind is powered by our memory and our feelings and our emotions. So when they're triggered by like upset, by sadness, by fear, you know, if we can just allow ourselves to write down happy thoughts and nice things every morning about ourselves and what we like and what we're grateful for, then that starts us on a really good positive train of thought, doesn't it? And allows us to kind of carry on with that.
Yeah. Have you discovered anyone like the Hoff? Is it Wim Hof, the Iceman? Do you read any of his books and stuff?
Yeah, and Oprah, Secret Soul Sunday sessions, like love a bit of her podcast. It's amazing. Eckhart Tolle, love all of that. I did the Yale Psychology of Wellness course during lockdown, so I qualified for that. I've just done the life coaching course, and I'm doing a Ken Wilber. He's a philosopher, well-being philosopher. That's pretty, like, I mean, I'm not sure, like, I kind of get that, but like, I'm giving it a go.
Quite deep?
It's deep, mate. Yeah. I'm a bit out of my depth, but you know, got to try these things.
Well, you got to grow. You know, you got to challenge it, and it's the only way. Oh man, I want to come get my hair cut by you. I feel like amazing by the end of it. It'd be like, what an experience.
Well, that is you know, that is the goal and the experience that I aim to offer. And you know, it is something that, you know, I want to build a brand that kind of can help other people deliver that as well, and to kind of have a tool that actually can be used, that is like the positivity empowerment tool that, you know, we can access and we can use, and we can help to make ourselves feel better and also our clients feel better.
So where do you see the movement going? Like, what is it? What's the big ambition for it? Well, short and long term. Are you going to open a salon space with it, or with it as a mantra, or?
I would like to open like an experimental studio. So you come and you are surrounded in the project and the video and the imagery and the movement and music, and you experience an experience of that whilst getting your hair cut. I'm developing a 12-week program for my clients that can take part in a kind of a get to know themselves transformational coaching journey, and I want to kind of create a brand that will help share that in the hairdressing industry, that can be something that other people can then do, that other hairdressers can then do and take part in.
That's so cool. They should make a TV show out of that 12-week program thing, man. That'd be cool.
I mean, yeah, I'm pushing ideas in every direction. Let's say I'm up for that too.
But I think, but it's just in the sense of the importance. Like, it would just give it such a massive platform, wouldn't it? Like, really kind of blow that up, of getting that information out there, getting that experience out there. Yeah. I love the idea of. I don't know. The first idea you said was made me feel like some sort of interactive art installation, like getting your hair cut amongst all these like 3D projections all around the walls.
Stimulated, like how amazing would that be?
like all six senses going. Like, that'd be mad. Like,
yeah, because you know, to be sensually motivated and charged and inspired, like we all kind of get visual sense, you know, light and music, and you know, why can't we do what? Why can't that be done? There's no reason why that can't be done.
I think that'd be cool. I mean, that's
Yeah,
like some sort of like spa experience
like a
extraordinaire.
battery charge. Yeah,
Yeah, you know, like it'd be like it's like the opposite to flotation tank. You know, where you just sit in silence in the dark. Like, actually, we're gonna get all six senses going.
come out buzzing, mate. Come out
like,
buzzing.
it's just gonna be so high. You know, we're gonna like wash some incense. Somebody's gonna be playing with your hair, doing your hair while you know.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, that'd be awesome. Like, you got all this.
And I'm also toying with the idea. I have some friends that have a place in Portugal, and we're toying with the idea about trying to do some kind of post-lockdown creative retreat.
Nice.
That could be very exciting.
I want to see, definitely. I need some. I need a retreat after this, man. It's a crazy, it's a crazy experience. I'm homeschooling at the moment, and there's not much well-being involved with that. Homeschooling a 6-year-old.
I don't envy you at all whatsoever. Sorry.
I don't envy myself. I got to go and do a jog the other day, which was like the first one since December, and it was so nice to just be out of the house. I mean, it's a weird one. It's like you say, you turn up and it suddenly I'm like, you know, the night before you're like, well, hang on, do I even remember how to be like on set or like interact with people? It's like actually because I didn't get a job all the way through January. All my jobs in January cancelled because of because the mutant variants and everything. Suddenly everybody's like really freaking out. So like, we don't want to go on set. Celebrities didn't want to be there. Yeah. Which is fair enough, you know. But anyway, so we kind of get this job coming this week, and it was a bit of a strange one. So I had to go really, like quite far South London. I'm in North, so it was a big journey. I've not even been out past the supermarket for like 6 weeks. And then talk to people as well, like interact all day, be close to people. It was a weird one, to be honest. But it was nice, you know. You come out of it at the end of the day, and again, it was back to that experience of hairdressing has brought me out of myself so many times, and out of the darkness so many times, and and it's not that I was in darkness, but you know, I was in this really insular environment again, and suddenly like homeschooling my kid for like 4 weeks, and it's all super stressed. You know, everyone's intense. We've had tough building work going on as well. We're doing accessibility work for my flat. My youngest daughter's disabled, so it's like we're doing all this accessibility amendments inside the house. The first 2 weeks of January was a building site, and suddenly I was like, I got to come out of that. Hairdressing brought me out of that whole vibe again, and then suddenly it was all nice, and then you do some hair and you're all back to it and laughing, and you're like, it's good, you know. There's vibes there. There's things, and there's energy that's happening inside of me, and I need to get it out, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. I really think that the end of lockdowns, and it's not going to be the end of COVID because that'll probably be around forever. But hopefully in the lockdowns, I'm so excited for what the industry can do and where we can all go with
what the industry to do. And we all need to reconnect, and we all need community, and we all need to get back together, and we all need to get our hair cut and look good and feel great.
I'm going feral. I'm like,
I shaved it off, mate. Shaved it off, because it's kind of non-existent now anyway. But that's the one good thing about what we do and our job and our industry is that we're always going to be needed, and nobody else can do what we do. And we are skilled. We are crafted. We're craft people. So as much as there's like fear and anxiety about whether businesses can stay open and kind of whether salons can stay open, you will still have your clientele and you will still have your skill. So I think that's a real positive to take away, and just try and kind of not get caught up in the hysteria. And then when you get back to it, just have fun with it and enjoy what you're doing.
I started doing outdoor haircuts last year. In the we went like bottom of the garden. I got this little oasis space, and then suddenly I was just like, "This is amazing." I'm like, personally, I'm not. That's all I'm just going to do. I think is cut hair outside, just because it was a really wonderful thing. I was amongst all these trees, like little streams of bamboo, and you just cut. And I've always loved cutting hair
Yeah.
outside. I used to do, when I did my time in New York. I did a long summer in New York, and then we just ended up cutting everyone's hair on the rooftops.
Yeah, amazing.
And that was the best experience. Like, you were up there in the air, the clouds feel so close. It's like you really just, I mean, it's in the New York, so it wasn't part of nature, but like you really feel like part of close to the elements, I suppose, is the best thing.
Yeah.
Because, New York City is definitely a concrete jungle. It's not, there's no nature there. But
I shot a bit of I've shot some I can I am and I will in Lisbon, and I did some haircutting on the beach there, and that was just like sunset haircut on the beach was just like beautiful. So let's bring on more of those experiences, right? And why I think to kind of look at how we experience our haircuts and where we get them done and how we get them done is also a really important thing to look at as well, maybe.
mate, I love it. I can't keep you any longer. I've kept you up all night.
Well, it's been lovely. I've loved to have this little chinwag. It's been great, and it's really nice to kind of connect with you. And congratulations on your platform, and thank you so much for having me take part in it. And Brilliant. If there's anything else that you need from me, if we can help each other out in the future, don't hesitate to shout.
Thanks, Louis. Look, we're so pleased and blessed that you could come and give us some time this evening. So pleased that your platform it's an amazing movement. It's so important. Everybody check it out. I am, and I will. It's amazing. Keep doing it, mate. Push it. We're going to share the love. Everybody keep coming back to CrozNest UK. Check out our live library. Thanks for being here this evening. And if any of you hairdressers are bored out there, we've got some free resources and free trend reports you can download on our website. Go to croznest.co.uk. Louis, thank you. It's a blessing.
What a pro. See you later, mate.
Cheers, dude.
Cheers. The awkward bit, switching off.